Welcome back everyone to another dynamic build guide. This time is Kleese. I just hit level 12 with him, so I have all his mutators. But before I get into that, I just wanted to show you his basic attacks. So your primary attack here is just a wrist laser. Pretty simple and straightforward. It doesn't have any damage drop off, so it's good. He's got some good range. You can't ADS, so at extreme ranges it can be kind of hard to land shots, especially crits, but you can definitely snipe people out with it. The second attack here, which you can't really see because there's nothing to shoot, is a Taser. I don't know if it's going to link onto any of this stuff. But what this does is it automatically locks onto enemies nearby him and does a very fast pulse of damage. But when it does it, you see this bar to the right of his health and shield. That will get consumed when you do that. So you can only use this attack for limited amounts of time. There are some very cool upgrades to it, however, and it works pretty well. It also does extra damage to shields. So the other interesting thing about him is because he is in his floating battle chair here, he can kind of hover, as you can see. But that also consumes the power of his chair, like the Taser. And then you gotta wait for it to recharge, so you are limited in how you can use that. But it does let you reach other places or kind of get safe. In some dangerous modes, it's actually nice to jump and tase, but when you do that, you go through your power pretty quickly. So his special attacks, the first one shoots out these orbs that do extra damage to shields once again. But they don't do a whole lot of damage to non-shields. But there are some cool upgrades you can do with it. And then lastly, you have his riffs. And these are why I really like Kleese. So you see this green circle around it. Allies within that green circle get healed. Their shields get healed, not their health bar. Their shields do, and this will do damage to enemies. Now, if you land it right on an enemy when you put it out, you do get some kind of splash damage, and then you get the kind of pulse damage from the enemies getting shocked. So it's, again, much like Ambra's sunspots, where you can support your allies and hurt your enemies all at the same time. But unlike the sunspots, these don't expire. You can put 3 out at a time, and they have very good range on them. Let me see if I can get it to a better spot. Alright, well, sometimes they operate where you can really kind of get it far out there. I've gotten them much further than that, but that's all the game's going to allow to do me right now. But those are the energy rifts, and there's a lot of cool upgrades with those with the Helix as well. So now I'm going to back out of this, and I am going to go into his Helix and talk about those options more and what you can do with these. So as we just discussed, the Tactical Battle Chair, his passive, increases Kleese's maximum shield capacity per level and can be used to extend jumps. I don't think his shield level is where it should be, but I'll get to that in my how I would change Kleese video. The weapons, as I showed you, the wrist cannon and shock taser. And I might be able to pull some footage out to show you the shock taser better. I've got some gameplay of me playing Kleese. These I showed you there. And then the Battlefield Tactician. Kleese controls the battlefield through a variety of electrical-based shield attacks, stripping away his enemy shields and buffing his teammates' shields. So that's kind of what he's about. He's a kind of a support character, but he can do a surprising amount of damage in certain situations. The problem is he moves very slowly. He's a giant target. And if the opposing team has a Thorn or a Marquee, you can be kind of screwed because they can snipe you pretty easily. In fact, you've got to play him really kind of cautiously and smart because a lot of melee players will kind of prey on him as well. I played a PvP match like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, something like that. The other team had a Caldarius and Wrath, and they just absolutely pummeled me at every chance. Caldarius would blind me, and then all of a sudden I'm getting hit by Wrath. I can't say Wrath right now. and I was instantly dead. But if you play Kleese kind of from the back lines and kind of use him as a general, I guess, support your teammates and stuff, you can get a lot done with him even in PvP. I've had some really good games. So going over to the skills, Energy Rift, as I showed you, restores shields by 83 and damages enemies to enemies 83 damage every 3 seconds. A maximum of 3 rifts. Each have 0 health. Well, that's not accurate. They do have health. Energy Mortar. He releases 6 of them. They all do 22 damage, and they do bonus damage to shields. And then your Black Hole that pulls in enemies towards it, dealing 334 damage. The Black Hole is pretty underwhelming too. The pull's pretty good, but a lot of times it pulls like enemies through it and out of it, and they take no damage. In 5-player, it's really hard to actually kill enemies with it, and solo, not so bad. But in multiplayer, it just doesn't pull enough damage, and again, that's going to be a topic of what I would change about him. So going to his Helix. Tier 1. Mortars will heal friendly target shields. That's very helpful. Or Energy Rift will shock nearby enemies, dealing bonus shield damage. Kind of depends on how you're going to play him here. In Meltdown, I would go with the Energy Rifts. In yeah, it just depends on your modes. I kind of like Energy Rifts a little bit better here. I rarely actually find myself using the mortars to heal their shields. It would be helpful, but yeah, in some story modes, if you're 5 players, I would definitely do the shield heal over that bonus damage to shields, because not many enemies have shields. But in PvP, I'd probably go with the Shocking Pulse. Tier 2 here. Shiftless Shells. Energy Mortars slow enemy targets they hit. I think I said enemy mortars, not energy mortars. Plus 3 second slow duration. Any kind of CC is good in this game. Slow is great. So that's very good, especially because they kind of carpet bomb an area, so it's easy to hit multiple enemies with that. I like Kleese a lot in Meltdown, and that will generally help. You have your rifts out there, and then you hit that when the minion waves are coming, slow them down, then you just kind of snipe them off, or your teammates go and nail them. Overloaded Mortars. On paper, this is really great, and it does a lot of bonus damage. But the problem with this is you make him way too squishy. Because when Kleese's shield goes down, he is an easy target. And it's hard to keep him alive. So I was using overloaded mortars a lot at first, and then I just switched over to slowing down people because he gets a hard time surviving with that. Next, Chair Slam. We've got a Butt Slam, some the pre-sequel coming back in here. Using Kleese's Shock Taser in the air will cause Kleese's Battle Chair to slam on the ground, depleting his chair energy and dealing damage to all enemies around him. This is only really good in heavy swarming PvE story mode stuff. In PvP, you're probably not going to get the best use out of that. Next is Quantum Precision as his middle mutator. Kleese's wrist cannon now charges to fire a focused laser. So, I don't love this, but a lot of people do. I've tried using it, and whenever I use it, my kill count goes down. And it does do a lot of damage on a single hit, but I think his regular wrist laser, with its better fire rate, just does more DPS. They also said they're kind of patching this one down because it was doing some unintended things. I'm not entirely sure about that. But if you do like how it works, you can definitely set him up as more of a sniper. But you better hit your targets. Oh, sorry, a little yawn there. Next is Don't Tase Me Bro. I really like this one. Shock Taser now arcs to additional targets. You get one additional target. So when you use his taser, which is really good damage, it will now arc to the nearest enemy, hitting 2 enemies at once for a very good pulse, really upping his DPS. When you get in close range fights, sometimes you just need that. In capture, that'd be utterly pointless. But in Meltdown, it's fantastic. In Incursion, you're still going to kind of be playing him in the back lines and fighting the minion waves more so than pushing up for the players, so that's very good then too. So I'm a big fan of Don't Tase Me Bro. The next one, Rift Network. I love this. Energy rifts will now link to each other when near each other. Their output will be increased times the number of rifts in the network. So you can link 3 rifts up at this point, and later on you can add a 4th rift in the Helix tree. And then there's a lightning chain that goes between them, and then they do more damage because they're there, and then you're just covering a big area with it. And it's better when if enemies just run through that chain at any point. If they weren't linked normally, they might not take damage going through there, but now they definitely will. It is absolutely fantastic in all of your defense missions. It's really good in Meltdown. It can be used to help control lanes in Incursion. You can even kind of use it to help in capture a little bit, kind of slow down enemies trying to push on your points and stuff. I think it is absolutely a fantastic skill. This is one of the ones that, for me, that really makes him. Sadly, on the other side, it sounds really cool, but it's not. Unstable rifts. Using Kleese's energy mortars or wrist cannon attacks on the energy rifts will now feed energy into those rifts, causing them to be unstable. Unstable rifts explode after a short time, damaging nearby enemies for 133 damage. Now, this sounds good, but the problem with that is it's too slow, and you'll shoot them and feed energy into them, and then when they explode, there's rarely an enemy by there because either they've moved away from it or they have already died. So on this tier, I don't really see using that. I've tried it enough times now, and correct me if you've found a good way to use this, but every time I try to use it, the enemy's are already dead or just walked away from it and they don't take it. Yeah, so that's going to be one I address with how I would change Kleese, because I think this is a bad tier. Not that you can't get a good skill in it, because Rift Network is amazing, but there's not really a true choice to be made here, in my opinion. The next one, Don't Call It a Heal Chair. Clever name. Kleese's tactical battle chair can heal nearby enemies. 120 health per second. This is really cool. So the AoE of it is not huge, but I can throw a rift by me in a defensive way, and hang out by that. And if you kind of how Miko will throw a mushroom kind of like behind a wall in kind of a safe place, if I'm standing next to you and I got a rift and this, it's going to really help my teammates stay alive, or if they need to come back and get a quick heal. Sometimes in Incursion you're getting hit hard and you just got to kind of run around that wall a little bit to safety. If, I know you need some healing, I can just back there with you, throw down a rift, my chair's healing, and I can get you ready for battle so fast that you don't have to go back to base or go sit by a healing station. We can just kind of hotspot it right there. And it's really handy. And in story mode, it's absolutely fantastic. And the Saboteur, if Kleese and one other person are protecting the point, other people are kind of running around taking out the enemies on the wings, you can be pretty damn tanky with him. So that's a really great skill. and really ups his support. He's the only, well, no, I can't say that. Reyna can heal some health too, but this makes him a pretty good combat medic. Extended battery life. If you're playing less support and more offense, adding 10 chair energy is great. You can float longer, you can tase longer. It's really fun. If you are playing solo, is by far the best choice. Well, over the health per second. And then get ready for a surprise. Whenever Kleese dies, his tactical battle chair explodes. I don't like this that much because I don't know. I guess there are games where it would make sense. Like that game I was talking about, while Caldarius and Wrath were picking on me. This might have got some revenge kills for me. So I guess it does have a point there. I haven't really used it too much yet. But if you're getting picked on by some melee characters, that's a good one to spec into, because he is easy target for a lot of them. But I don't know if 233 damage is enough to really... I don't think that's enough. I mean, unless you really whittle them down with your tasers, and sometimes my defense against those guys are... Like, Wrath goes into his ultimate. I actually killed him once, just jumping on his head with my chair and tasing him. And I won that battle in his ultimate, but that was one time. There's been many other times where I've lost that battle. But I guess if I got him low enough, this would, get that revenge kill at least, or maybe someone else can finish him off. So it does have a purpose. It's a pretty good tier. There's three, kind of three options here, and you can get them based on the situation you're in. The next one. Bulk savings, I love this. Get out a 4th rift. It's not always the right choice, though. In defense missions, absolutely. In Meltdown, I think absolutely. In Capture, I think they're going to kill your rifts too fast for you to ever really have 4 of them out there. In a lot of your active story modes where you don't have a stationary target to defend, you're never getting 4 out there. So in that case, the cooldown time, I think, is great, because you can just get those 3 out there faster. And 33% is a big cooldown. So that's going to help you just kind of keep moving your rifts too, because you're going to place one out there, and if it's not dead, you're going to need a new one in a new spot. So I think that's a good alternative in the more active settings. Incursion, I would probably go with the cooldown. I would only really do the 4 rifts in Meltdown probably currently. The third choice over here, expanded mortar capacity. I rarely take this. Now you're going from 6 to 10 mortars, so in PvP this would really help drop enemy shields well. It works good on stripping the enemy's sentry shields. You can even kind of arc them over their kind of sniping perch and hit the sentry, which is cool. But I don't know, rifts are so good, I kind of would go to the cooldown above that. But I can see some people going with the mortars. Especially if you're using them to kind of heal your allies and hurt the enemies. That's 10 of those is a big carpet bomb. So the next tier is all about the mortars. Killing an enemy with energy mortars instantly recharges Kleese's shield. So in theory, this sounds great to combine it with overload mortars, where you put them out with more damage. But I warn you, in solo play, yes, that can work well. But not on boss fights. So if you have that and you throw those off on a boss, you're kind of a sitting duck. But in 5-player, the mortars still don't do enough to kill a lot of times, unless it's like your really small auto kill, kind of minor enemies. But a major enemy still isn't really guaranteed to die to your mortars, and then you're going to be sitting ducks. So, yeah. The middle one, they can bounce several times before exploding. They're already kind of hard to hit, and a lot of the bouncing things between Thorn's ultimate bouncing, the Merv grenades, the bounces in this game are just a bit too much, so I don't really like this option either. Now this is the one where the third option, tampered mortars, I really do like. So now the energy mortars all fire at the same time, blanking in an area. This is cool to me because if you're going to use the energy mortars, you just want to strip an enemy's shields. It happens just so much faster because typically they would go in 3 pulses of 2. Now it just goes in 1 pulse. And that's great for your DPS because you can just put those out and then go back to shooting. You don't have to wait for those 3 pulses to happen, and that just speeds it up. So I do really like that. Now if you would go with this, then that's even better because then instead of 5 pulses, you're even faster. So on this one, I definitely pretty much always go with the right, no matter the situation. I don't know why it says plus 0. When you're in game, I think it's plus 150. So this one is a classic choice between DPS and survival. Increases max shield strength or shock taser. In a lot of story defense missions, because I'm hanging around my rifts, I go with that shock taser. But in those more active missions, because Kleese is kind of a sitting duck, I go with the shield strength because he needs it. In PvP, you're probably not going to get that shock taser often. And if you do, you're probably going to die anyways, which that 25% damage would be nice, but I would typically go with that shield and help him survive a little bit. So the next tier, again, it's survival versus DPS, but this time it is for your energy rifts. I played around with the maximum health a bunch of times, but in the end, I've kind of gone with pulse time. Just increase the damage they do while they're out there. If enemies want to kill them, they will kill them. Additional 500 maximum health. I mean, you think about that. If you're Thorn, that's like 1 arrow. If you're Wrath, that's like 3 or 4 swings of your sword, which happen in a blink of an eye. It's not that much health, so if an enemy, if they want to kill them, they're going to kill them anyways. This isn't going to slow them down enough to make it worth it. I would just increase that pulse time, so when they're out there, they're going to hit harder. That's what I've typically kind of started doing. And I honestly haven't noticed a huge difference in how long they live. I guess with that 500 health, sometimes like those suicide bomber thralls, they can kind of sometimes survive those with the extra health, but if I've got 4 of them out there sitting there protecting a station and one dies, I usually have one ready to go. So that's not the end of the world either. So usually go quick pulse there for that reason. Last is his ultimate one. So sharing is caring. Black hole gives every friendly team member in range an overshield when it implodes. So in theory that's really cool. In practice I don't see it happening that often because once again the animation for this ultimate is so long. Even when I tell my teammates that, they're not able to always just like stand by it. So I don't know. The center one, this is probably my favorite right now. Black hole's time to pull in enemies is greatly reduced. Once again, the animation of that thing going on out there is just way too long, so this reduces it by almost half. Without a damage penalty, I like it. Then you have square root of pain. Black hole causes all friendly energy rifts in range to become unstable and explode for 133 damage. So this one could be good, but usually I want to place the rifts out there. I want to keep them out there. And again, like making sure you hit an enemy with that is not always guaranteed to happen. So that's why I go with Insta-Hole here. Now, unfortunately, Insta-Hole is your level 12 mutation, so you have to wait a while to unlock that. So if you haven't unlocked that, I kind of go with the Overshield, because I want my rifts to stay out there and it can help my teammates. If your teammates are good about that, though, the cool thing there is Kleese can heal health, shields, and overshields. He's the only character in the game that can do that. And with the riffs in the right situations, he is insanely deadly with them. And you can just dominate the kill counts with him. Because you just set him up from those points and enemies just run into him and melt. So that's a lot of fun with him as well. So he's a situational character, but in the situations he's really good. He's also really amusing. Once again, Gearbox did a great job designing his personality and all that. I guess I can just kind of show you the taunts here. I haven't unlocked all of his skins and stuff yet. You can see that the stroking of the kitty is pretty funny. That one is just flat out evil and awesome. And then this is amazing. So that is Kleese. I hope you guys give him a shot, because I think he's a lot of fun. You might not like him, but give it a shot and see if you do or not. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.